hold back.
Now, tell me exactly what it is you're afraid of.
I keep having the same dream. Everywhere I look, people are being replaced.
Okay, and who do you think is going to have you replaced?
Them. The puppet masters. The last time I had the dream, I was walking down the school hallway. And then I see Butters, and he's like, "Hey, Eric, you want to see what my mom packed me for lunch?" And that's when I start to notice that something's wrong. Everyone I cared about has been systematically replaced. And finally, I want to scream, and I'm like, why are they replacing every single character with someone who is diverse? But then Kennedy's like, it's not our fault, it's because of Kathleen Kennedy. But then Kathleen Kennedy's just like, fuck it, make it more lame. And everyone in town is like, no, please, Kathleen Kennedy, stop ruining everything. But Kathleen Kennedy is all like, put another gay diverse woman in it, make it more fucking lame. And the Disney stock just keeps going down and down and down. And then Bob Iger is all like, no, what's going on with my stocks? No, Kathleen Kennedy. Ah!
South Park is back, and this time they're taking aim at Disney. In their latest episode, they call out Disney's obsession with changing the races and genders of classic characters. South Park doesn't hold back, turning Disney's focus on diversity into a punchline. The show mocks how Disney is overhauling beloved classics like Snow White for the sake of diversity, leaving fans more confused than impressed. South Park is asking the question a lot of people are thinking: is Disney truly embracing change, or just ticking boxes?
You know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There is a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird.
Super weird.
So we didn't do that this time.
So no Prince, or a different kind of Prince?
We have a different approach to what I'm sure a lot of people will assume is a love story, just because, like, we cast a guy in the movie, right. Andrew Burnap, great dude. It's really not about the love story at all, which is really, really wonderful. And whether or not she finds love along the way is anybody's guess until 2024. All of Andrew's scenes could get cut. Who knows?
South Park wasn't holding back in their latest episode, joining the Panderverse. They went all in, taking shots at Disney's so-called woke culture, and the message was clear: forcing diversity without creativity leads to disaster. The timing was perfect, as the episode aired right when Disney's upcoming Snow White remake, starring Rachel Zegler, was already surrounded by controversy. Zegler didn't help matters with her comments criticizing the original 1937 Snow White, calling it weird and claiming the new version would ditch romance in favor of a more evolved story. Despite having a male co-star, Andrew Burnap, Zegler argued that the film would focus on something other than romance. Fans weren't buying it, and South Park doubled down, creating their own version of the mess.
Eric, it's okay. It's okay.
Matt, I had a dream that I was replaced by a diverse woman.
Oh, not again.
Yeah, only this time, it wasn't just me. They were taking all my favorite people and replacing them with diverse women complaining about the patriarchy. Will you check under the bed and make sure there's no Disney executives under there?
I promise there's not.
I'm scared, Mom. Will you please just look and make sure Kathy can't...
In joining the Panderverse, South Park goes full savage. Eric Cartman has a nightmare where his favorite characters are replaced by diverse women who constantly complain about the patriarchy. Cartman wakes up in a panic, ranting, "They were taking all my favorite people and replacing them with diverse women complaining about the patriarchy." It's South Park's way of mocking the idea that forced diversity is real progress, instead labeling it as pandering. Cartman even quips, and the Disney stock just keeps going down and down, which lands a brutal jab at Disney CEO Bob Iger and the company's struggles. The episode doesn't stop there. It roasts Kathleen Kennedy, president of Lucasfilm, accusing her of being the reason why Disney movies have gone downhill. South Park portrays Disney executives scrambling to pander harder to fans by using a magical pander stone, mocking how Disney seems to rehash old stories with surface-level changes to appeal to modern audiences. Kennedy's character is shown repeating the phrase, "Put a chick in it and make her lame and gay," a sharp critique of Disney's recent reboots. It's brutal, but it nails the frustrations many fans have with Disney's approach to modernizing their films and franchises.
Prince Eric movie.
Put a chick in it, make her gay.
Maybe we should go a different route than we did with Indiana Jones.
Fuck Indiana Jones, put a chick in it and make her lame and gay.
Sure, yeah. Well, let's try that. Again.
Kathleen Kennedy is down on set right now ruining the new Bambi movie.
Any diverse woman in it, make it lame.
Bambi's a baby deer.
Fuck fuck, baby? Dare put a chicken in, make her gay!
We've sent her away to have lunch at Spago. There you are, Miss Kennedy, the linguine and clam sauce.
Excuse me. I believe I asked you to put a chicken in and make her gay.
Yes, the chef was a little confused what you meant by that.
Means put a chicken in the linguine and make her fucking gay! And I want it lame! Where the fuck is Bob Iger?
Mr. Iger just had to take some of the others to a screening.
I think that things are being kept from me. And if you're going to keep things from me, then you'd better put a chicken in.
In joining the Panderverse, South Park doesn't spare anyone, even taking aim at Miles Morales. In a funny exchange, when someone accuses Cartman of not liking diverse characters, the kids fire back, "No, Miles Morales is sweet." That's a whole constructed thing with its own character and narrative. This is just taking Cartman, same old Cartman, and putting a black woman in it. The joke hits the nail on the head. Diversity is great, but lazy. Forced storytelling isn't. South Park is calling out Disney for using diversity to check boxes without putting in the effort to create meaningful stories. The episode also roasts Disney's major flops, like Indiana Jones and The Dial of Destiny. Even though Harrison Ford wasn't replaced by Phoebe Waller-Bridge, the show still highlights the frustration fans feel about Disney adding diversity for the sake of it rather than offering fresh and compelling narratives. The South Park characters are essentially saying what many fans have been thinking: fans aren't against diversity, but they want good stories, not lazy remakes. The internet loved it. Elon Musk even chimed in with 2 laughing emojis, calling the episode timely. Meanwhile, Gina Carano, fired from The Mandalorian for controversial tweets, took the opportunity to mock Disney in a lengthy rant on X, formerly Twitter. She imagined Kathleen Kennedy attempting to censor South Park while gathering a mob to call the creators racist, bigots, and transphobes. But South Park doesn't just take shots at Disney. It also goes after the anti-woke crowd. At the end of the episode, Kennedy's character admits that using the Pander Stone to fight bigotry through lazy remakes was a terrible idea. "All I ever wanted was to make great entertainment," she says. This highlights South Park's take on the issue. Both sides are guilty of missing the mark when it comes to real, creative storytelling.
Version of Snow White is different, and it's more of a 2022 version of Snow White. What did you mean by that?
I mean, you know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird.
Super weird.
So we didn't do
6 inches joining the Panderverse, South Park doesn't spare anyone, even taking aim at Miles Morales. In a funny exchange, when someone accuses Cartman of not liking diverse characters, the kids fire back, "No, Miles Morales is sweet." That's a whole constructed thing with its own character and narrative. This is just taking Cartman, same old Cartman, and putting a black woman in it. The joke hits the nail on the head. Diversity is great, but lazy. Forced storytelling isn't. South Park is calling out Disney for using diversity to check boxes without putting in the effort to create meaningful stories. The episode also roasts Disney's major flops, like Indiana Jones and The Dial of Destiny. Even though Harrison Ford wasn't replaced by Phoebe Waller-Bridge, the show still highlights the frustration fans feel about Disney adding diversity for the sake of it rather than offering fresh and compelling narratives. The South Park characters are essentially saying what many fans have been thinking: fans aren't against diversity, but they want good stories, not lazy remakes. The internet loved it. Elon Musk even chimed in with 2 laughing emojis, calling the episode timely. Meanwhile, Gina Carano, fired from The Mandalorian for controversial tweets, took the opportunity to mock Disney in a lengthy rant on X, formerly Twitter. She imagined Kathleen Kennedy attempting to censor South Park while gathering a mob to call the creators racist, bigots, and transphobes. But South Park doesn't just take shots at Disney. It also goes after the anti-woke crowd. At the end of the episode, Kennedy's character admits that using the Pander Stone to fight bigotry through lazy remakes was a terrible idea. "All I ever wanted was to make great entertainment," she says. This highlights South Park's take on the issue. Both sides are guilty of missing the mark when it comes to real, creative storytelling. Clip 6. Disney's live-action Snow White remake has sparked a fierce debate, with many seeing it as the latest example of Hollywood's woke agenda in action. What was once a beloved fairy tale is now at the center of controversy due to the studio's attempts to modernize the story, and the backlash has been intense. The controversy began when Rachel Zegler, who plays Snow White, shared some critical opinions about the 1937 animated classic. She dismissed the original film as outdated, noting the problematic aspects of the love story, where the prince literally stalks Snow White. Zegler explained that the new version would shift the focus away from romance and instead highlight Snow White's independence and leadership, noting that the prince's role would be minimized. Despite casting Andrew Burnap as a new male character, Zegler emphasized that the story would not be about love. Rather than drumming up excitement for the film, Zegler's comments ignited a social media firestorm. Fans and critics alike accused Disney of unnecessarily altering a classic story to fit modern sensibilities. Memes, posts, and heated debates flooded platforms like X, formerly Twitter, with many claiming that the studio was more interested in pushing a progressive agenda than telling a compelling, faithful story. This backlash highlights a growing frustration among audiences who feel that Hollywood is sacrificing creativity and tradition in favor of diversity and political correctness. For many, the original Snow White was a timeless tale that didn't need to be fixed.
Clip 7.
In contrast to Disney's previous live-action adaptations, like The Little Mermaid featuring Halle Bailey as Ariel, the backlash over Rachel Zegler's comments about Snow White has been far more intense. While Bailey's casting faced criticism, mostly centered on race, she garnered significant support from fans who celebrated the representation and eagerly anticipated her portrayal. Bailey handled the criticism with grace, emphasizing the importance of representation, which helped mitigate some of the negativity. Zegler, however, has struggled with her comments in interviews, especially her remarks about the original 1937 Snow White. Her criticism of the classic material, describing it as outdated and problematic, has not gone over well with fans. Many view her comments as dismissive of the very story she's now a part of, which has turned her into a lightning rod for criticism. Rather than garnering support, Zegler's approach has drawn sharp backlash, and her words have placed her at the center of controversy, overshadowing the excitement for the film itself, overshadowing the film's promotion.
It's like, it's not our fault, it's because of Kathleen Kennedy. But then Kathleen Kennedy's just like, fuck it, make it more lame. And everyone in town is like, no, please, Kathleen Kennedy, stop ruining everything. But Kathleen Kennedy is all like, put another gay diverse woman in it, make it more fucking lame. And the Disney stock just keeps going down and down and down. And then Bob Iger is all like, no, what's going on with my stocks? No, Kathleen Kennedy.
What have I told you about being more mature? I can assure you Kathleen Kennedy is not under your bed.
That fucking Kathleen Kennedy right fucking there!
You, come here.
No, 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 no!
The controversy surrounding Disney's Snow White remake has become a flashpoint in the broader debate about Hollywood's approach to modernizing classic stories, and South Park has jumped into the fray with their usual sharp satire. In the episode Joining the Panderverse, Cartman dreams of a world overtaken by diverse women constantly complaining about the patriarchy, which directly critiques the trend of forcing diversity into remakes like Snow White. The show suggests that while audiences are open to diverse representation, they draw the line when it feels forced or shallow. The episode captures a growing frustration among fans with Disney's insistence on rewriting beloved classics to fit contemporary standards, even if the intention is good. The issue with Zegler's comments about the prince in Snow White, calling him a stalker and distancing the story from romance, exemplifies how changes to the original can alienate fans. Many felt her remarks disrespected the legacy of the 1937 film, a cherished piece of their childhood. The backlash has raised questions about the role of remakes. They should honor the original while introducing new elements, not dismantling them entirely. South Park highlights this cultural divide, pointing out that Disney seems more concerned with ticking boxes on a diversity checklist than creating meaningful stories. The episode's depiction of a fake Bob Iger telling his executives to pander harder perfectly sums up the perception that Disney is prioritizing messaging over the magic of storytelling. This aligns with growing criticism of Disney's remake strategy, which, while praised for diversity in some instances like The Little Mermaid, has often been seen as lacking the charm of the originals. Zegler's comments have made her a target of backlash, with critics accusing her of being arrogant and tone-deaf. In contrast, Disney's ongoing struggle to balance modern values with the nostalgia of classic stories highlights the tension between staying true to a legacy and appealing to modern sensibilities. South Park's satire underscores the question, what happens when the creative process becomes secondary to messaging? Fans are asking for authenticity, not stories that feel like they've been manipulated to fit a specific agenda. Ultimately, Snow White's controversy and South Park's critique reflect a larger cultural battle between modern progressivism and the nostalgia that shaped so many of these timeless stories. With audiences growing increasingly vocal, the question is whether Disney will listen to the feedback or double down on its approach. It's becoming clear that the line between progress and pandering is a fine one, and if Disney continues to miss the mark, they risk alienating their audience for good.
It's a twist on kind of Ariel's strength and powerfulness, and she's just so strong in this film, and I'm just so grateful to play. I would want to let everyone know, and all the girls and boys in the world who would want to play princesses one day, that you are beautiful and you deserve to be everything. A princess, a prince, whatever you want.
Stopped for photos every time I'm online for the Snow White ride, and it is I have to pretend like, oh God, oh crazy that we're in front of this.
Wait, how long?
It's like I'm standing there waiting for the photo op, being like,
well, you kind of are, you know?
No, I guess
like
so.
you're Harrison Ford.
Snow White!
Is that your favorite ride? I mean, that's a weird thing that you are Snow White now.
I mean, It's one of the original. I'm a really big Disney fan. I grew up at the Disney parks. My parents took me every summer.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, so it's like, it is. It's a part of my upbringing. It's my favorite thing. So it's just one of those things that comes with the
tell them if you love it. Don't let them scare you.
I was scared of the original cartoon. I think I watched it once and then I never picked it up again. Like, I'm being so serious. I watched it once and then I went on the ride in Disney World, which was called Snow White's Scary Adventures. Doesn't sound like something a little kid would like. Was terrified of it. Never revisited Snow White again. I'm a narcissist. I watched it for the first time in probably 16.
The backlash against Disney's Snow White remake highlights a growing frustration with the studio's approach to modernizing its classic films. Fans, particularly on social media platforms like X and Instagram, have voiced their concerns about the political messaging and forced changes being introduced to beloved characters and stories. Many of them feel that Disney is taking away the magic of the originals and replacing it with something that feels shallow and agenda-driven. There's a sense of betrayal, as if the stories that shaped their childhood are being altered for the sake of ticking off diversity and inclusion boxes, rather than honoring their legacy. Rachel Zegler's comments about the original Snow White have stirred particular controversy. While some appreciated her frankness, many fans were upset by her dismissive tone toward the classic. For example, she criticized the 1937 film for focusing too much on romance, referring to the prince's behavior as stalking, and emphasized that the remake would shift away from traditional love stories. This alienated fans who felt that Snow White was a film with its own charm and importance, and that the changes weren't just updates. They were a complete reimagining that disregarded the essence of what made the original special. A meme circulating online summed it up. Disney's remakes are like the same story with a new coat of paint. In contrast, Halle Bailey's casting as Ariel in The Little Mermaid sparked backlash, but also garnered significant support. Many fans celebrated her as a step forward in representation, and Bailey's positive approach to the role, along with her clear love for the character, resonated with audiences. Comments like, "Finally someone who loves the character as much as we do," reflected the positive energy Bailey brought to the role, something that made her casting feel like a natural fit rather than a forced political statement. Zegler's remarks, however, left many fans wondering how someone could be so out of touch with the legacy they were stepping into. This stark contrast between the responses to Snow White and The Little Mermaid shows how important it is for stars to approach these iconic roles with respect and care for what they represent. While diversity and representation are essential, they must be handled thoughtfully, and fans want to feel that these remakes are genuine rather than driven by external pressures. Ultimately, the responses to both films highlight the delicate balance Disney must strike between staying true to its past and embracing change in a way.
Well, Gerald, I don't know if you can just talk to your son, but can we just admit this whole woke thing isn't working?
Woke thing?
I mean, it's been great in so many ways, but now it's like every movie and every TV show, it's like you can see through it now. Audiences want to be entertained. They don't want to be preached at. And if you're just doing shows and movies that have an agenda, it's just going to keep failing.
Randy, what?
Something is wrong with the universe. Our stocks are down and every Disney movie this year has failed.
We don't understand it, sir. We keep making the same movie over and over and pandering to everyone, but suddenly it's not working.
Then we've got to pander harder.
Look, I don't want to have to say it, but I think the problem is Kathleen Kennedy.